Hi, my name is Jake, and I am a bookish drummer. So in this video, I'm going to be doing a book review on a very good book that I read last month, A History of What Comes Next by Sylvain Neuvel. Before I get into the book, I just want to quickly mention that Sylvain Neuvel also wrote my favorite trilogy of all time, The Themis Files, with the first book being Sleeping Giants, second book being Waking Gods, and the third book being Only Human. I love those books so much. Sylvain Neuvel has now become an instant buy author for me. If I see that he has a book out of any kind, I will instantly buy it. And that is exactly what I did with this book. So this isn't exactly like fair criticism, but even though I very much enjoyed this book, I gave it 4.5 stars. It's not quite as good as The Themis Files, which I know I just said is my favorite trilogy of all time, so my expectations for this book were through the roof. But even just looking at it as the first book in a brand new trilogy, it's terrific. All the things that I loved about The Themis Files are also in this book. You've got great characters to root for, you've got very high stakes, you have very intriguing problems that the main characters have to solve. And let's be real here for a minute, like, it's super short, super quick to read. I love it. Especially with all the big epic fantasy series that I'm used to reading. This is a very nice change of pace. I really wanted to give this book 5 stars. But for me to give a book 5 stars, it has to do one of two things. One, it has to have some type of surprising, shocking, oh my god moment in it, which this book, along with definitely The Themis Files, has in spades. But the other part of the 5-star equation is that if I could, I wouldn't change anything about the book. And that's just not the case with this book. In particular, there's a character that we get introduced to in this book named Billy. And the way Sylvain Neuvel writes her, we're supposed to, care about her, but it was very hard for me to get attached to her because she had very little screen time. I feel like if we would have just gotten like a few more chapters of her interacting with our main character, that issue probably would have been resolved. But for the book that we got very little of her, and then as we got further into her story, it was a little bit harder for me to connect with her character. But as far as the main characters go, the true backbone of the story, you get a really good mother-daughter relationship. And actually, the audiobook to this book is great, and the two narrators that narrate the daughter and the mother are actually daughter and mother in real life. I also just thought the premise of this book was really intriguing, and I don't want to get too much into it because I think most people should go into this book not knowing a whole lot exactly what it's about. But what I will say is that he combines true scientific history into the narrative, and that aspect was also very cool. And as far as this being an introduction to a new trilogy, I thought it was really good. I, of course, plan on reading books 2 and 3 whenever they come out. I think the Themis Files, they came out back to back to back, so I'm sure that the next book will be out next year, probably. Unless something drastic happens in book 2 or 3, I don't think it'll reach the same level of impact that the Themis Files had, but again, I hate comparing it, but these are the only 2 series he's written. I also think this book is incredibly underhyped. I'm looking on Goodreads right now, and it has only 440 ratings. I want that to go way up. Because the Themis Files, if you look on it, they all have well over like 10,000, 20,000 ratings, which deservedly so, but I think this series deserves way more attention. I think if you've read the Themis Files and loved it like I did, or even if you're just someone wanting to try out sci-fi but might be intimidated by a lot of very like technical writing, I think this might be a great place to start, because a lot of people like me who really love fantasy, they get into fantasy more for the characters. And Sylvain Neuvel, I think, pays very close attention and devotes a lot of time to developing his characters, which I really appreciate. So anyway, that's my little quick review for A History of What Comes Next by Sylvain Neuvel. Have any of you watching this video read it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you meh about it? Whatever your opinion, let me know down in the comments. And of course, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.